Hello! Welcome to another episode of DNA Hardwired, common sense turned upside down. My name is Pop, and with me are my co-hosts, Nikki and Tammy. We are very excited to share with you our thoughts, opinions, beliefs, and yes, facts on everyday topics that make us question people's common sense. Hopefully you have listened to episode 1, part 1 of this podcast in order to have a solid understanding of what this podcast is about and how to get the full benefit of this podcast. Yeah, if you haven't, I strongly recommend, encourage you, and suggest that you listen to episode 1, Common Sense, part 1, before listening to this or any of the other episodes. We would like to make it clear at this time that this is not a therapy podcast in the typical sense of medical or mental therapy. The information and discussions we're providing can be therapeutic in nature, but are for situational and problem-solving situations. If you believe your situation or problem is serious enough, we strongly encourage and recommend you seek medical or psychological help. Would you like to add anything, Ms. Nikki?
I'm good, thank you.
What about you, Tammy?
I'm good too, Pop.
All right then. Thank you for joining us, and let's get started. I have to tell you, I'm really excited about this particular episode. It's a topic that I've been very interested in. As a man, some of the questions we're going to be discussing concerning Kevin Samuels, I've had thoughts about some of those issues myself. I really haven't had the opportunity to openly, honestly discuss those questions with the other men. But today, you know, we're blessed to have three, what I consider to be three, as Kevin Samuels would say, three very good, highly eligible men.
High value.
Thank you, Ms. Nikki. High valued men on this call. And what we tried to do was to cover different generations. Guest one, Deuce, he's of that 20 to 30-year-old generation. Then we have guest two, who's Tony. He's of that 40 to 50-year generation. And then we have guest three, James. He's of my generation, that 60 or 70 or so generation. So I personally am really excited to have these three men. I was going to say three young men. Sorry, James. But it's really a pleasure to have these three men join in on this episode. What we're looking at doing is having 3 episodes on Kevin Samuels. You know, since we've been doing this particular series of episodes on relationships, and we thought we were done after the divorce episode, but somebody brought up the name Kevin Samuels.
Miss Tammy did.
Tammy did that.
She sure did. And Red Pill.
She seemed so quiet and nice and sweet, so she stirred the pot.
She stirred it right on up.
All right. So
she did.
So we had to talk about Mr. Kevin Samuels. We already did part 1, which kind of was basically an overview of some of his thoughts, opinions, and ideas on women and relationships. So now we're going to kind of follow suit with that, except now we're going to get some opinions and thoughts from three men. And these guys, like I said, I love these guys. They're, I would consider them normal. Well, actually, I was going to say average, but I think they're above average, truthfully, from my personal perspective. But three highly smart, intelligent men, and I personally value their opinion on this subject. So hopefully you'll do the same. So anybody got anything else to add before we really get into it? All right. So it sounds like we're good to go. So
Let's do it.
all right. So first question or first comment made by Mr. Samuels that we'll talk about. So here we go. Women, if you have made it to 35 and you are unmarried, you are a leftover woman. you are what is left. Men know that there's likely something wrong with you. Whether you want to hear it or not, I'm going to go there with you. I'm telling you the truth that you don't want to hear. Men know that there's likely something wrong with you, that you cannot be adjustable to a 6 or higher. Something is wrong with you. That's where men automatically come with it. And here's the thing. When you were between the ages of 22 and 25 and you didn't want to settle, you were trying to get the CEO, the pilot, the investment banker. You were trying to get flawed out. So, Deuce, I think I sent these questions ahead so you guys would have a chance to kind of look over them. So, Deuce, what are your thoughts on that statement by Mr. Samuels?
Well, the statement by Mr. Samuels, I don't think it really covers, women overall. What he's saying is pretty much, I guess, like stereotypical and kind of like ignorant. Because at the same time, we still have single men at the age of 35 and over who women can say the same thing that he's saying. It's kind of hypocritical. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. It's also, unfair. Also, so that's how I feel about it.
Okay, and keep in mind, Deuce, he's the young one of the group.
Sounds like he got good sense, though.
Like he got good
I don't know if Tony and James are gonna have good sense, but Deuce, you passed.
Yeah.
Good job.
And keep in mind, I'm glad you reminded us, Mickey. That's what this podcast is about common sense, right?
It sounds very common
right.
sense. He is an engineer, so
okay.
Let's give him that. Okay.
All right. What do you think, Tony?
So first of all, I want to say thank you for inviting me on this podcast, right? And
all right.
Also, I like Kevin Samuels. I like his the way he thinks. That's his truth. He's speaking his truth, right? So this is my answer. I would say no. Women over 35 are not just what's left in the dating pool. That's actually a reductionist view that doesn't account for real life complexity, growth, and individuality, right? So it's actually rooted in like societal narratives around youth, beauty, and reproductive years, right? Some men in certain manosphere spaces perpetrate the idea that women expire after a certain age because they associate value with youth and fertility. So it's based on supply-demand logic, the idea that men become more desirable with age, quote-unquote money, status, and experience now have access to younger women. So older women were left behind, right? Well, older women are left behind based on that. So what's real, many women over 35 are single by choice or because they've experienced life, marriage, kids, or career focus, right? Women at 35 plus can be wiser, more emotionally stable, more intentional, even more attractive in her power. If anything, some men aren't even ready to match her energy and maturity, right? So instead of asking what's left in the dating pool, maybe the better question is who's swimming in the deep end now. The shallow end's full of games and surface attraction. The deep end's where the grown folks go, right? Where emotional intelligence, stability, and purpose matters. That's my answer.
That was
I like
perfect.
I mean,
I'm like, dang it. Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Tony, y'all can't see what you can't see what she was going through. But it was like, God, what's going on here?
Like what?
A man who gets it.
Makes sense. And first when you said I like him, it's like he gonna be on some.
Yeah, I saw that look. I saw that look too.
But his response was like, makes sense. Logic, common sense. Very common. I like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks.
All right, James.
Okay. For me, can you repeat the question? And just like the gentleman before me, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you inviting me. I do have opinions, but go ahead. Can you repeat the question for me again?
All right, James, we can do that for you. So here's Kevin talking. Now, this ain't me.
It's
this
not
is,
you.
This is not me. This is
Not
Kevin
you.
talking.
Correct.
Women, if you have made it to 35 and you are unmarried, you are a leftover woman.
Leftover.
You are what's left. Men know that there is likely something wrong with you. Whether you want to hear it or not, I'm going to go there with you. I'm telling you the truth that you don't want to hear. Men know that there is likely something wrong with you, that you cannot be adjustable 6 or higher. Something is wrong with you. That's where men automatically come with it. And here's the thing. When you were between the ages of 22 and 25 and you didn't want to settle, you were trying to get the CEO, the pilot, the investment banker, and you were trying to get flawed out. Okay, James.
Okay. So my opinion, I think a woman over 35 is she's. I don't really know how to put this into words, but she knows what she wants, and it's all about her, which is fine. I've been married for 48 years, and
that's a long time, James. I don't know how you did. I may have to.
That's a long time.
I don't know how you did that, brother. But go ahead.
Yeah. But a woman is not married. If she's not married by 35, that means that either she's not ready, or it's all about her career, or whatever. And I don't think guys look at women because they're over 35 that there's something wrong with them, or they're leftovers. I don't think a lot of guys feel that way.
Okay. And
Tony, you'd be surprised. You would be surprised.
That's James.
That's James. That was James.
Oh, James, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
James, you would be surprised.
And that's Tammy. That's Tammy, James.
Well, yeah, that's because, like I say, I'm 72, and I haven't been on the dating scene for 48, 50 years. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. That's why I'm glad we got this call going on.
Yes.
Get these different perspectives.
Yes, different perspectives.
And so far, I have to tell you, y'all, I kind of fall in line with these three guys. So I guess,
like it, yeah.
I guess I'm normal too.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. All right. So next comment by Mr. Samuels. Ladies, understand something. When a man asks you out on a date, he's asking to have sex. If you don't want to have sex with him, do not go on a date with him. What do you think, Deuce? You're a young man. I think this is your territory.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think, Deuce?
All right. Now, when a man does actually go on a date, majority of men do expect something out of it. But that doesn't mean that the woman shouldn't go on a date. I feel like with that, it should be like sort of, or like if you're gonna take a woman on a date, don't expect something in return. She's gonna get let down. So it's kind of like it's really up to the men. Kind of like set the standards, set your intentions and just let it be known.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good one. All right.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, Tony.
Cool.
All right, so my opinion on that, I would say no, not if he's a man of substance, right? A man who leads with sex is showing you where his mind is, right? Yes, men are visual creatures, so it crosses our mind, just like it crosses women's mind as well. But if that's not a man you want to deal with, if he's thinking that way, that's a man you survive, right, and not deal with. But if you're dealing with a man who's built different, a man with purpose, vision, and value, then than him asking you out on a date, he's interested in the connection and not just chemistry, right? Physical attraction might spark the interest, but that's not the mission. The mission is alignment. Is your spirit in sync with his vision? Is your energy a complement to his drive? Can he trust you when things get dark? Or are you only there for the light? See, a grown man who knows his game is not going to risk his peace just for peace. So he wants peace, purpose, and partnership. So no, it's not about sex. It's about presence, attention, and seeing what's real behind the smile. A date is a doorway, not a demand. If he's asking for sex or looking for sex, that ain't a man. It's a boy in a man's body trying to barter ego for interest.
Okay.
Tony, can I ask you a question?
You said.
Go ahead, Tammy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tammy.
You wanted to ask Tony a question?
I did.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So, and I'm not trying to get in your business, but I have to put this in context. Are you married, engaged, or single?
Single.
Okay. So when you ask someone out, because you did say you like Kevin Samuel, which is totally fine. When you ask someone out, do you, and I thought your response was good, but kind of like what Deuce said, he was kind of like, well, a man may want that, but the woman should still go out and that man should make his wants and desires known, right? So that the woman knows you're on the same page. And I agree with what Deuce said. I agree with what you're stating as well. So when you go out, are you, I don't want to say expecting, but are you expecting there to be some intimacy when you go out on a date, though? Is that your expectation, or are you like, look, if this goes somewhere, cool, and if it don't, cool? What's that?
So that depends on the setting, like how I meet the woman and how she presents herself. Mm. So if she presents herself that way, then that's where my mindset is going. So what I understand and what I believe is that women set the tone. A man see a female, visual attraction, his mind is always thinking about the sex part. But when I actually talk to you and meet you, after that, it depends on your mindset. If you take me there, well, my mindset gonna stay there. But if you take me beyond that, well, I'm gonna go beyond that.
Thank you for that.
Good.
I like that.
Good. I like that. Good response. I like that. I see. I'm learning. That's why I'm learning too. I'm learning.
I'm learning too.
Okay. All right, James. What'd you think, man? You want me to read the question again?
No, that was a great response.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of think that it's not all about sex. It's just me. Like I said, I'm 72, been married 48 years. If I was on a date, say if I was single the way I feel now, I wouldn't be looking for sex right off the bat. Would it be in the back of my mind? Oh yes, definitely.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
I like that.
Right.
Oh, good. Man, I'm pleasantly surprised.
Tammy?
Well, no, I think it's a good point. And I think, to me, the statements that I hear all three gentlemen stating, if you break down what Kevin Samuels is saying, is that on some level, it is about you. And I think, Tony, you mentioned if I'm not thinking about sex, but a woman presents it that way, then that doesn't mean I'm not going to go there. And so I think on some level, it is us saying, what's our intention? And we as women have to be intentional. And I think, as the other gentleman has pointed out, they're intentional as well. So it really comes down to what your intentions are. But I agree with, it's really pleasantly, it's nice to hear everybody's statements and hear both sides of that. So it's causing me to see another side of it, which I think is good.
Yes, I agree.
Right. Oh, and speaking of the other side, what we'll probably do is try to get three women on. We'll let them listen to you guys' response. I should have told you that earlier, but we'll let them listen to your responses to these questions, and then see what their reactions are. Just a heads up. Just a heads up.
Any reasonable woman thus far. Now we ain't done yet. I think that you guys present
men in a very good light.
And I mean, sign me up. Sign me up.
I have a
Okay.
question.
I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, the two ladies on the panel,
Right.
what is their situation? How old are they? Are they married?
I'll speak first.
Go ahead.
My name is Nikki. I would be considered what you would have Kevin Samuel says as a leftover woman. I was a leftover woman. I did not get married until my 40s, right? And so for very, I don't have any biological kids or what have you. The person I married had kids. And so, but for various reasons, I just didn't get married till later in age. I had proposals and different things like that and dated. But for various reasons, I just did not jump the broom until later in life, got married. I am divorced now and I am 53. So I'm divorced.
How many years were you married?
It would have almost been 10 years. And I think marriage is a beautiful thing. But I would have been one of those leftover women, even though I did not consider myself a leftover woman, because I truly believe anyone can get married, right? I think anyone can get married, and people get married 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So I don't think it's difficult. But I think it's staying married and these various things. So that is my situation, James. I was married, not married now, divorced. And it was very amicable, so no hard feelings. And I did not have kids. I didn't have kids. I have 2 step-kids now from Marisa. So Tammy, you're up, Tammy.
Hi, I'm Tammy, and I'm 51, about to be 52. I was married for 20 years and have 2 kids, and I'm recently divorced.
Okay. Did I answer your question, James? James, you got to take your phone off mute. If you
Yeah.
You good?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All
You're
right.
welcome.
All right. So we got another question here. Kevin here's if a woman decides to go on a date with any man after the hours of 5 p.m., sexual intimacy should be on the menu. However, if the intention of the woman is to keep the relationship with the man strictly platonic, the time frame of noon to 3 p.m. is more suitable. What's your thoughts, Deuce?
The time does matter when it comes to dating. That's like doing something late at night at 11 p.m. Of course, it's more intimate. But then again, it kind of goes back on to what I say. It shouldn't be required after 5 p.m. to, for it to be intimate, but it depends on the two. I think it should just be known off the top, so that way nobody's time. Let each other know your true intentions or whatever the mood is, the tone of the relationship is.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay. All right. And that comes back to one of our previous episodes where we talked about, when you're trying to get to know somebody,
Yes.
you guys should make each other aware of what your goals are, what your intentions are for the relationship. That kind of goes back to that. What are your thoughts, Tony?
Tony Tone. All right, so I get why that statement is triggering, right? But I'm gonna break it down a little bit with a little bit of grown man logic, right?
Okay.
So time carries energy, right? A new meetup feels casual, like let's get to know each other. A dinner date, that's more ambience, moonlighting, intention, right?
Good points.
Yes, when a man invites a woman out after 5 p.m., he's basically setting a tone that's deeper than just friendship. Now, that does mean that intimacy must happen. Absolutely not. That's not what it means. So, respect is still the foundation. But I'm going to be honest, dinner dates aren't platonic by nature. If your goal is just friendship, keep it in the date pocket. But if you accept a man's time, money, and effort at night, don't act surprised when he's reading it as more than just conversation. It's not entitlement, it's awareness. Grown folks know the difference between let's be friends and let's see where this goes. The hour you meet does most definitely set the tone.
Tony. If you haven't already written a book on relationships, I wrote one. I'm telling you, if you haven't already written a book on relationships, you need to do that. All
you
right?
good, brother. You good, brother. I like what you. I'm liking what you're saying. I'm liking what you're saying.
It's all mindset. Everything is mindset.
Okay. All right. What do you think, James?
It doesn't make a difference what time of day or night you date somebody, go out on a date. It's all about getting to know the person first.
Right.
I mean, I'm a guy. I'm always thinking about sex, but I want to find the right person. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm completely old school.
Right. I'm gonna interject one of my own questions here. This is kind of like off script, so I hope you guys don't mind. And I'm not trying to put y'all on the spot either. So answer it,
Trick bag.
No, this is not trick bag.
Okay.
But it's something as a man, I've been interested in this question and trying to get halfway decent, honest answers from folks. Sometimes, So here's the question, guys. Here's the question. What is a reasonable frequency for you as a man? What is a reasonable frequency? There's going to be a two parts to this question now. What do you think is a reasonable frequency for sex? I'm going to use week as the interval or whatever. What do you think is the reasonable expectation for sex in a week? How often? And then the second part of that is, as a man, how often would you like to have sex in a week? Deuce, did you follow that question? It's a two-part question.
Yes, sir. I heard you loud and clear. Well, I'll say in a week. I'm young.
I know you are. So you be careful. Don't you make us old men look bad. So you be careful. Go ahead.
I'd say at least 5 times a week.
That's a reasonable expectation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I think that's reasonable for a young guy. That's reasonable.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
this is
reasonable.
your answer. This is your answer.
I think that's reasonable.
Yes, and it's going to put everything in perspective.
Okay.
He prefaced it by making sure we understood.
He's young.
He's young. He's
Yes.
viral. He's,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's a reasonable expectation, right?
Right.
And so what do you want, though?
Oh, what do I want?
Yeah.
Oh, more than 5 times a week. I'm cool. I say 5 times is more. I guess what I want. I say that's like the average. Like I said, I'm young. I can do more than 5 times.
Hey, look. Now, we're not asking what you can do. We asking you.
We're not asking about your skills.
Yeah,
Deuce.
no. We asking you as a man.
What if you could have the sky's the limit? What would you say?
Oh, I'd say 5. Yeah.
So
Okay.
So that's reasonable.
All right. Okay. All right. What are your thoughts, Tony?
What was the first question again?
Yeah, the question is as a man, there's this 2-part question. First part is, what do you think would be a reasonable expectation of frequency of sex in a week? What do you think would be reasonable? The second part is, you as a man, what would you desire?
So, for the first part, right? This would be my answer to. I would say that for me, I'm busy, right? Sex is like when I want to relax, right? If I don't have anything to do, if you're a high value man and you got things going on in your life, you got a business or two you trying to run, and you active, sex is like, it's on your mind, but you got other things on your mind that you're worried about, right? So, sex is a beautiful thing. We all love it. It's human nature. But if I got a lot going on, I'm not trying to have sex all the time. I have to conserve my energy for things that I want to get accomplished, my goals, my dreams, my next deal, or whatever. And I would like to have sex how many times a week? I would say that depends on, like, to me, sex it's got to be meaningful. I don't want to have sex just to have sex. Meaningful sex feels better to me, right?
Right.
I feel a better connection instead of just having sex. So meaningful for sex doesn't happen 5, 6, 12 times a week. It happens like when you need it most, when it's more meaningful, when there's intention behind it, like a romantic day, evening. So that would be my answer.
So it sounds like, Tony, your answer is it might be no time in a week, it might be 2 times, it might be 3 times. It depends on that chemistry thing, and it depends on other things than just the sex act itself.
Right, because a person that wants to have sex many times within a week, that person doesn't have a life. If you got things going on in your life, you're not trying to be sexed out. You feel me? Too much of anything is not good for you, right? So you got to keep that balance.
Okay. What about you, James?
For me, I'm a very sexual person, and my partner is not very sexual.
Okay.
So for me to answer that question, I have to be very honest and kind of brutal. So for me, at least once a week.
Okay.
At least. And then what I would want is probably 3 days a week.
Okay.
Something like that. You
Okay.
know what I mean? Because I'm a very sexual person, and like I said, my partner is not very sexual, but I am.
I got you.
Yeah.
You know what I find? Now I'm gonna share with you guys. Because we got you guys. Now I'm gonna share me as a man. I'm on this call. I'm gonna share my thoughts on that. James, it must be something with the name either James or our ages, because I'm kind of like you. I'm a sexual. I'm a sexual type of person too, and so I personally think that 2 to 3 times a week is reasonable, and that's what I think is reasonable. But what would I like? 4 or 5 times, right? And so I think what this is showing is we men are different. we're not all the same. Deuce, he's young. He's a sexual animal, right? And then you got these 2 old men. We old. We sexual animals. And then we got this young fella kind of in the middle.
Yeah, he's in the middle.
And he's like, look, man, I like sex, but hey, I got other stuff going on in my life. I got a lot of things. I got other priorities. And go ahead.
Can I say something, James?
Go ahead.
So I'm retired. I'm 72. I'm very active. I go to the gym twice a week. I ride my bicycle. I ride motorcycles.
You play golf. You play golf. Try to get me to play golf.
I play golf, and I don't know. Sometimes I would rather take a nap than have sex.
Right.
Right. Because I'm retired. I'm living the dream.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, sex is always in the back of my mind.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. All right. Another question here. We're close to halfway through the presentation here. Another question here. This is Mr. Samuels. This is a response to a woman at one of his presentations. Women like you die alone, straight up, because you think you're better than the men that you qualify for. And the only reason, honestly, ma'am, that I can see a woman like yourself really thinking you deserve more is because you earn more money than most people around you in North Carolina. That's where you at, Deuce. But anyway, high value men don't care about your money. Not the kind of men that you want. You don't. We don't care about your money. It ain't ours. We care about the fact that you are older and you got kids and you are average in looks. Your thoughts, Deuce?
Okay. High value men don't care about how much. Because at the end of the day, a man is
Hold up a minute. Hold up a minute, Deuce. I don't know who's on the call, but there's some background noise. So if it's not Deuce, do me a favor and mute your phone. And Deuce, if it's you, you stop all that background noise, man. You causing a problem here. But go ahead, Deuce.
All right, cool. So, high value men don't care about how much a woman makes because at the end of the day, a man is supposed to lead and provide. Now, I can't say what a man does care. It's pretty much like how can I grow with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, what can you add? Are you a liability or are you a partner?
Wow.
Yeah, that's my take on it.
I like that. I have one question though, Deuce, and I agree with what you're saying, and I like that. Are you a partner or liability? It says we care about the fact that you're older, you got kids, and you are average in looks. What would you say about that particularly?
Now that depends on the man, because not all men care about looks. Not all men care about kids.
That's right.
They might have their own. They might want to co-parent or a blended family. So I feel like that statement is kind of just biased. That's up to the individual.
I like that. Okay.
You sound way beyond your age,
You
Deuce.
do, Deuce. That's because you have a wonderful mother.
Yes, that's true too. Okay, Tony, what are your thoughts on that, man? If you're on mute, Tony, you can come off mute.
Oh, my bad. All right. So, like I said before, I am a Kevin Samuels fan, right?
Right.
Because he gives it to you raw, unfiltered, and it's meant to provoke, right?
Right.
So, this was my reply. I say, that statement, it does hit like a punch to the gut, right? But if we're being real, he wasn't attacking the woman, right? He was actually confronting the mindset, right? So a lot of women have been sold on this idea that the more they stack financially, the more they increase their dating value. But men of a certain caliber, high value men, don't prioritize your income. We prioritize femininity, peace, beauty, and legacy.
Talk, brother, talk.
So, yeah. It's all good. So we're not going to be cruel about the looks or the age, but let's be honest. If a woman has kids and is older and still wants a man in the top 10%, she has to understand that that man has options. He's not overlooking youth, cooperation, or legacy. He's just legacy just because he's older. I mean, because she's doing well for herself. Matter of fact, he's not tripping on that. So it's not about tearing women down. It's about getting them to recalibrate expectations to reality. Men and women value different things. And if we stop trying to match resumes and start aligning visions, both sides can win. That's my answer.
Tony,
You
can
asked
I
for
lean into that for a second? Sorry,
Yes.
Nikki.
No, go ahead, Tammy.
Can I lean into two things that you said and just ask for some more details?
Go ahead.
You made the comment about a high value man. I'm going to ask you to define that. And then you made the comment about recalibrating expectations. So I want to lean in on that first.
All right, so my definition of a high value man is it's more than just financial status. It's more of how he carries himself, his mindset, and what he values in life in general. That to me makes a high value man. And what's the second part?
You said recalibrate expectations.
Yeah, so I was looking at this TikTok video of a female that has 3 children, right? And she said the man that she's going for has to make 6 figures, has to have multiple cars and multiple homes and multiple businesses to date her. That's not realistic, right? So she has to recalibrate her thinking if she doesn't want to die alone, right? So
Does she, or does that mean that that's not some man's price point, but it could be another man's price point?
I mean, I don't.
Well,
I don't know.
I'm gonna interject on this, and I'm not gonna start no fight. Hopefully,
You probably will.
I'm not gonna
I'm
try.
sorry, I really wasn't.
And I'm not taking.
I wanted clarification.
But I'm not taking sides either. But as a man, I totally get where Tony's coming from. Tammy, I totally get where he's coming from. But go ahead, you guys continue.
I forgot where I left off.
You
at.
said
And Tony, I just want to say I'm not challenging you. I'm asking for clarification because you said recalibrate expectations, which is Kevin Samuels has said similar in that you have to lower your expectations. And so my question is if that's not necessarily your price point, does that then mean it's wrong, or does it mean it's just another man's price point for her?
See, I believe that it's mostly women that live in fantasy world, right? They have this big fantasy about this big wedding. Men don't think about getting married, right? I think most men get married because a woman wants to get married, right? So, though this fantasy world is just where women live at, right? There's nothing wrong with like shooting for the stars to reach the moon, but like you can't set your standards too high. Now you've been sort of like cartoonish. You're not being real, right? So that's how I feel.
Okay, I just want to interject really quickly. So I do understand what you're stating, Tony, and I do understand what you're stating, Tammy. And I think that like that TikTok video that you saw, I think that so I kind of look at a bell curve. I think you have extremes and then you have like the middle where most people are going to fit in, right? So I didn't see the video, but just based on what you said, I think that lady was a little bit extreme. I understand what Tammy,
I disagree.
Well, no. I think she. Well, let me finish.
I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you finish.
No.
But I disagree. Go ahead.
No, I think she was extreme in the sense of she's stating. Not only do you have to have this salary, which is like okay, whatever. Maybe you have to have that salary because she got 3 kids. I do not know. But not only do you have to have a car, all these cars and all this and that. And so I think that it's one thing stating, look, I would like a man to be able to financially take care of me and my kids. I think that that's a reasonable request. If we're talking about a traditional home or whatever, I'm just saying.
Repeat what you just said.
I said a traditional home.
No, the part before that.
If that's what she expects.
No, you said something about a man taking care of a woman.
So
now y'all got to make up your mind.
No.
This might be another subject, but you women got to make up your mind. Nikki, you got to make up your mind. Do you want a man who's going to take care of you? Is that what you just said? But go ahead.
Well, what I'm saying is, as I think there's and then you have to look at the definition of what take care is, because there are women out here making 6 figures plus, right? They
don't talk about you taking care of me though.
But what I'm saying is that there is a difference. Your definition of what a man for some women, a man taking care of them is not financial. It is.
This was financial.
It's spiritual. But I'm just saying it's spiritual.
I agree with that.
It's filling my gas up, washing my car. If something goes down, if I'm stranded, I'm gonna call my boo, whatever.
I agree.
Because just like right here on a financial thing, people are saying, hey, men don't care about money, and that's okay. So to me, someone taking care, it appeared as though, and I didn't see this video, that this lady was purely talking about a financial aspect based on what Tony said, the cars, the money, several businesses. And what I'm saying is it should be deeper than that, though. I think that it should be deeper. I think when you're looking for a potential mate, you have to look beyond the money.
100% agree.
That's all I'm saying.
I 100% agree, and I believe Tony would agree with that. I believe
well,
Bruce
you don't know if Tony would agree with it.
No, I bet he would.
Tony, you agree with that?
I do agree, and this woman, I feel, she went too extreme. Because
that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
What about those? The dad of the kids you had, did they match those criteria? Right?
That's what I'm saying. Right. Right. So that's what I'm
But I
saying.
think we're all placing value on whether or not she went to the extreme or not. The reality is her set of criteria may not be our sets of criteria. And I think that's where the danger comes in, is that we're placing judgment on another person's criteria. There's somebody that might have been listening to her going, check, 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 sign me up. The reality, just like you say, somebody washing your car or somebody doing whatever. Everybody has rules of engagement and criteria. And just because I may not want to meet that doesn't make their criteria wrong. It just makes it not the criteria that I'm willing to subscribe to.
Right. I don't know any high value man that's gonna do all of that for a woman with 3 children and she's only like 26 years old.
And that's okay that you don't know that. And again, I'm not judging. I'm simply saying I think that the impact to me of the rhetoric is I'm going to determine whether or not your criteria is acceptable or not. And I'm basically basing it on it's not acceptable to me. And I've had this conversation where I say it's kind of like the Louis Vuitton purses. There's some people that are saying it makes no sense to pay $2,000 for a canvas bag. It's not leather. It can tear. It can rip. Yet there are many people going and buying that $2,000 canvas. It's not up to me to make that judgment because I'm not going to do it. It's me saying I'm not willing to do it. But if y'all willing to do it, Louis Vuitton making millions off of people that are. So there's somebody willing to do it.
I think the majority of people that do goes for those bags like that, it's all a status statement.
Okay. All right. That was really good. So James, what's your feedback on that question? You forgot the question, right? James, if you're on mute, come off of mute.
I got lost in all the answers.
We were going back and forth.
I know that.
Sorry.
I know that, brother.
Yeah. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, it was his response to a woman was women like you die alone, straight up, because you think you're better than the men that you qualify for.
Oh yeah, I don't believe that. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of circumstances, and it just depends. No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, Tony really breaks down all the questions really well, and I kind of agree with him on a lot of answers, but not everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
Right.
I like it.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Here's a question. Women for the last 30 to 40 years have been told you can have it all, whatever you want, whenever you want, no matter what, no matter how you are. And they've been given an unrealistic expectation of their actual, here we go with that word sexual again, of their actual sexual marketplace. I think we're going to skip that one because I think the previous question that we
I like that one.
You like that one?
Yeah, I want to hear that because I like the marketplace value. I like because I think that we put these terms like marketplace or like we're reducing people. My opinion, we're reducing people to, I don't like the term, she's a prize, he's a prize, she's a catch, he's a catch, high value man, high value woman, because I think what we're valuing is not actually the quality of the person, right? So sometimes when we say, value, some people go towards, does this person make money? Is this person a 10? I'm talking about men and women, but let's take men. A prize, he whatever, he's fine, he has a business, he's making money, he drives this, he got a house, blah blah blah, right? And then with the woman, she's a 10, her body's banging, she ain't got no kids, blah 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 blah, right? And I think that,
but that's reality.
It is reality, but for me, I'm saying for me,
right?
But I'm saying for me, because we're talking about fantasy land and these different types of things. I'm saying for me, I think it's a little base and basic to reduce a whole person to certain things. Yes, you want a woman that you are attracted to. Yes, you want a man that has a couple dollars coming in, that can, that you guys can have a roof over your head and you're not wondering if you turn on the lights, they're not there. At the same time, we're putting all these values and all these labels. And I think that's why you get these TikTok videos. That's why we're living in fantasy land, because does this man treat you well? Does he have your back? Is he gonna cheat on you? Is he gonna beat you? Is he gonna call you out of your name? Is he a ride or die? Is he gonna nurture you? Is he gonna pray with you? Is he gonna hold your hand when you're sick? Is he gonna wipe your butt when you're sick? Is he gonna clean up your bum? And so I think we're placing value, right? We're placing this value. It's more valuable for you to be ride or die for me, for you to be there. I don't care if you got all this money if you're not going to be there for me when I need you. And so that's what I'm saying. So I think this is a good question, and I like the question.
And we're going to get their responses. But what I want you to keep in mind, I want our listeners to keep in mind, is that I think on this podcast, we have some guests, and we also have some commentators who are, how should I phrase this?
Passionate.
Well, it's more than just passionate.
Mm-hmm.
I to a degree, I don't think we're the average person you're going to run into. So you're talking from a point where you are Tam. You're not the average person that we're probably going to run into. Okay. But anyway, so get back to this question. Women for the last 30 to 40 years have been told you can have it all whenever you want, no matter how you are. And they've been given an unrealistic expectation of their actual sexual marketplace value. So, Deuce, what do you think? If you're on mute, come off mute, Deuce.
Okay. Yeah, it is unrealistic. I guess I think it works to a certain extent. Men, I guess, tend to go after the younger women because they have that sexual marketplace value, but at a certain age and time, that's going to run out. So it does give an unrealistic expectation to women if that's what they were told to, expect. Nowadays, it's more like everybody's knowing their worth. Women are knowing their worth, and so are the men. So it's kind of like just like a battle of what do you bring to the table.
I like what you said about it running out, because we all are going to age if we live long enough.
Or less. And that goes for anybody, men or women. You should always shoot for the stars to hit the moon, right? So having these expectations, you don't want to be too unrealistic, because you got to be honest about yourself. You have to be looking in the mirror and say, all right, this is me, and this is what I should expect. It shouldn't be too much in the fantasy world. Just be realistic. That's what I said.
Okay. All right. Okay. Also, at this time, James, he had to drop off the podcast, so we won't be hearing from James for the rest of the podcast. Okay. Here's a comment on Kevin Samuels on his thoughts on dating standards. Women by nature want to consolidate on the highest valued man possible. Social media and dating apps have now made it where you have almost 100% of women wanting men in the top 10 and 20%. To produce this outcome, which is unrealistic, you want a man making at least six figures. That's only 10 to 14% of the population. What do you think, Deuce?
I do agree. Now you have a lot of women that are, I guess, like money hungry and do want that top 10, 20%, which is highly unrealistic. A man making at least six figures, it's like, okay, you want all that, but I guess what do you bring to add on to that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you can't just expect a high value, top earning man just to come in your life, and you're not kind of like backing that up on why you need something like that in your life.
Right. Okay, Tony?
Yeah. Can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah. And these questions we've been dealing with for the last 2 or 3 questions, been talking about the value of men and value of women. So women by nature want to consolidate on the highest value man possible. Social media and dating apps have now been made it to where you have almost 100% of women wanting men in the top 10 and 20%. To produce this outcome, which is unrealistic, you want a man making at least six figures, and that's only 10 to 14% of the population.
I believe that women have always wanted the top. Like before there were, before there was like a financial status. When the men were the hunters, right? The woman wanted the strongest man that's going to go out and hunt and bring the food back. They don't want the weakest man because they know they're going to starve to death, right?
Right,
So
right.
that's just been going. That's just human nature to want somebody that's going to make you feel safe and secure, right? I want a woman that's want to make me feel safe and secure as well, right? So if she's making more than me, I don't care. That's good for her. We a team. We gonna do this together. So nowadays, a man doesn't want a woman that doesn't bring anything to the table. But sometimes you got men that say, okay, all I want you to do is to be the female, be the nurturer that you are, and let me handle everything else. So that's all on perspective.
Can I ask a question about that, Tony? So I think I understand what Deuce was saying as well, and I understand what you're saying as well. I think that you brought up something though, a woman being a nurturer, right? A woman being in her feminine energy, living in her space, right? And I think that I don't want to go too deep. I just think though sometimes, and this is a question for both Pop, Deuce, and Tony, the men, and specifically, and Tammy, you may want to add something to what I'm saying. I think that right now where we are, we're women are being asked, be feminine, be soft, because and live in that space, and it would be great. I mean, sign me up for that. At the same time though, sometimes we engage in relationships, right, where that man is coming to you in a certain type of way, right? So it's like, and I'm not talking about like outright abuse, but I'm saying they're coming a little bit rough, they're coming a little bit, so, but you want me to be feminine, right? And it's like a rose. I take a rose, for example, right? It's soft, it's gentle, right? And if you stomp on that rose, through time, maybe genetically or something like that, maybe that rose is going to change a little bit, because it's like, oh, I can't be soft, I can't be gentle, because now people are stomping on me. So now I'm changing to the environment, right? Now I'm changing to the climate of what's going on, right? Or you're going to die, right? And so I think we're asking women to be this certain type of way, but if that man is not supporting that, right? If that man is not creating that environment for you to be soft, it is hard to be in that space. I think most women want to be soft, gentle, vulnerable. But if that man is coming to her a certain type of way, then it's hard to, because we are soft, we are gentle, we're going to break. And so if you guys can answer that, and Tammy, I don't know if you have anything else to add on to what I said.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
So this will determine your definition of feminine and male energy, right? For me, when I say in your feminine, right, that just means that, because to me, feminine means intelligence. It means nurturing and all that. When you think of masculinity, that's the energy of to do. Because men do things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And women are the creative thinkers, men are the logical thinkers, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
the reason why a lot of relationships nowadays don't work is because we're too busy wanting the man to be feminine and the woman to be masculine and feminine at the same time. So we have to stop not allowing a woman to be a woman. We have to appreciate her emotional roller coaster rides. We have to appreciate those qualities because that's the aspect of that feminine energy, right? So we just got to get back to square one. Appreciate each other's energy.
I like that. Thank you for that. And Deuce,
Yes.
what do you think about? Because I did like that. If we can just kind of get back to the basics, what do you think? Like, you're out there, you're dating. Do you want a woman to, to be able to cry, to show that side? Like, how do you feel about that?
Oh yes, of course. I want all of that, that feminine energy. That I want to see that soft side, because at the end of the day, that's kind of like our natural state. Well, at least for me, that's what I prefer. I prefer soft, feminine women. But at the same time, if you still have that hard shell on you, that's cool. At the end of the day, a woman will come out that shell if you just treat her the way that she needs to be treated, or just provide that type of energy to make her feel comfortable to do so.
Deuce, boom. Okay, both boom. Now, Pop, hopefully you come up with something.
No, I agree with both of them.
Okay, you agree with
I
okay.
can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tammy, did you have something to say?
I think I'm going to be the naysayer in some of this, so I'm going to refrain from commenting.
Oh, no. You have to comment, girl. That's what this is all about. We've said it before. I'll say it again. We're all individuals. We all have different thoughts. And the chances are our listeners are also individuals with different thoughts. And there's going to be many of them that's going to agree with your point of view. So come on, girl. Bring it.
I'll say this. I think that I agree on some level with that we have natural energies. I think and there is a need to align on how we are showing up and bringing energies. I don't believe that all men are naturally masculine or bring naturally masculine energy, nor do I believe all women necessarily bring natural feminine energy in the traditional definition. I think feminine energy can mean a lot of things. And I think sometimes this idea that we have to be soft in order to be feminine seems to be very rooted in some kind of patriarchy. It's not rooted in necessarily who we are. Because to me, feminine energy emphasizes presence. It's about our wisdom, our gut feelings, our ability to perceive. It's not just about our creativity. It's about our nurturing. It's about all of those things. And to me, sometimes, like when I hear people say that women have to be creative or emotional versus logical, in some of those things, you have to be logical. You have to be thinking about things that way. So I just feel like sometimes we put people in boxes, and sometimes that's what creates the tension, is because we're not seeing each other. We're not figuring out what is it that you need, because sometimes a woman is going to have to adjust and be more masculine, and sometimes a man's going to have to adjust and be a little softer, which might be considered feminine. To me, that's about being dynamic in a relationship. It's not about sticking to kind of roles that may or may not fit who you are.
I like that. Sign me up for that. I agree with that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that. See, if you would have kept that all to yourself, we all got some growth out of that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Sign me up for that. I agree with that. Yes, it's because we're not just one thing.
Right.
So I like that.
Okay, got another question here. We're kind of getting close to the end of this podcast, so we'll do a couple more here. Let me see here. Let me see one here. Here's one. Men in general worldwide were more masculine because we didn't have feminism. Your mother's generation and your grandmother's generation, they really failed you guys because they told you didn't need a man. So, who raised these feminine, weak black men? that you have a problem with? Who raised them? 80% of black children are born out of wedlock. Who raised them? Black women. All right, Deuce.
Okay, cool. Now, I wasn't born out of wedlock, but I was raised by a single mother. A lot of
And that's
times,
a
really,
let me interrupt you. Now that's a good point that I hadn't thought about, Deuce. You know, people this statement here seemed to be concerned with black children with single mothers, but you brought up a really good point. You were raised by a single black mother, but you weren't born out of wedlock. Good point. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
right. So, yeah, I was raised by a single mother. She did everything she could to, turn me into the man I am today. But at the same time, I have to make that decision myself because there's some obstacles that, I had to come to face with that, I can't go to my mother about. I have to become a man at that moment. I have to learn out the first step. And also, I have to be willing to become a man. You can't be a man just off of being taught. You have to go through certain situations, build up them experiences to shape you into a man. So yes, I mean, it does depend on how you're raised, but at the end of the day, it depends on the individual themselves.
Good points.
That is a good point.
All good points. What are your thoughts, Tony? Tony, if you're
All
on.
right, so I've thought about this question before I even heard about it. So I think what's going on today, the fact that we have a lot of men being raised by single mothers, it's throwing off the balance because I was taught that, and I believe that a woman can't teach a man how to be a man because a woman is more emotional than a man. All right. Nowadays, you got a lot of these young men that are way more emotional. That's why we got all this violence going on, and men can't handle certain situations because they're emotionally driven. So I think that comes because a lot of the times the man was like running the streets, end up getting locked up, going to jail or whatnot, or just not being present in general. So I believe that's an issue in our community.
Okay, I'll tell you. The thing that affected me the most by that statement by Kevin is the fact that 80% of black children are born out of wedlock. I had to look that up because I didn't believe it. I'll be damned. 77 to 80% of black children are born out of wedlock. Now, that's we had talked a little bit about that before. That's going to be an episode in and of itself. We're going to do it at a later date, so we won't get too deep into it. But I want to make sure.
Something about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to add on to that 80% number, right?
Right.
Because I see it as some of that was all by design, right? Especially when when the food stamp era came, right? What was the objective? Not to have a man there, right? So for me to take care of you, you got to get rid of that man. I'm your man now. So it was all happened like step by step, like by design, in my opinion.
Tony, can I lean in on that for just a second?
Yes, ma'am.
What role do you believe that systematic racism and things like incarceration rates and other factors played into that? Because when you say it's by design, it would assume that the system has designed a pathway for women to make a choice other than having a male in the house. So my question is really, what other factors systemically do you believe played into that?
Oh, I would say like it's the fact that government wants more control, right? And for the government to have more control, you got to take away that masculine energy out of your home, because he's going to have you thinking another way. He's going to want to do what the government wants to do. But if I come in as the government and say, I'm going to take care of you, you are the prize. The women benefit from the government more than men are designed. I don't know why, but it does. And that's a topic for another day. But
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say I do agree. Like that's just a very much deep. I think that question in of itself could be a whole topic in and of itself. I mean, because that goes back to. And I hate to bring slavery and everything, but I'm just saying it just the dynamics of them, and I'm talking about African Americans specifically. That's a whole kit and caboodle in and of itself, because it's very layered in the sense of what marriage was, when could we get married. All the government's having all those things are very layered, and so for me, I didn't really comment a lot on that question because it's a very layered question. When you look at that, you're like, whoa. But when you go in and understand systemic racism and different things like that, it plays into that. So I think, but yes. So, okay.
All right. Good. All good responses. We're going to do one more question, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Last question here.
Make it good, please.
Make it good. I'm gonna try. I think there've been some good stuff going on.
There has been some good ones, but you need to make it a really good one
to finish up. Here it is. This is for us men. This no, I'm not doing that one. I'm doing this one here. Okay. This is because this one's for our men. This is the last one here. Most men want relationships.
That's the one I said pick.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Most men want relationships. Most men want marriage. Who's leaving relationships? Women are walking out of the door 70 to 90% of the time. That's another statistic I had to look up. It's true. But anyway. And who are they listening to? Women. Comments, Deuce. Women are walking out the door 70 to 90% of the time. Listening to other women. What are your thoughts, Deuce?
Majority of the time, it is the woman that will walk out the relationship.
When she done.
Oh yeah, definitely. It is. So it's kind of like, well, every relationship is not going to be perfect. You could definitely going to have your ups and downs, and everybody has their different battles with whomever they are with. But both have to come to the decision, like, we in this together. Because if not that, then you're wasting each other's time. Especially if you want a marriage. Now, it is some things that you can't come back from. But at the same time, you just can't get up and leave after every time somebody messes up. Because at that time, you're just wasting your own time.
Right. What are your thoughts, Tony?
You say women are leaving the relationships. What percentage was that?
70 to 90% of the time, women walk out the door. 70 to 90%.
So, for me, I think that most women are staying in their relationship and they endure all this pain, right? The man could be messing up really bad, but she still accepts him back. But after time goes on, she is tired of accepting that. She wants more, so she leaves. But a man will leave the relationship if the woman messes up one time.
Mm-hmm.
A woman has a build-up, because you know how they like to keep track of everything. They have a build-up.
We like to say we're accountants, Tony. We like to.
Exactly. But the thing about it is, she's not leaving at the first sign of doubt. It's going to be a build-up, and she's going to go. But a man will leave. You messed up. I'm out of here. So that's a big percentage of numbers, and I don't know if that's a realistic number as well, because if you talk to normal people, I don't think that number is between 80 to 70 to 90%.
Well, you
I
know,
think you bring
and
up a valid point, Tony. I think it may be that women are initiating the end. Like, I think the statistic was around initiating divorce. And so, and I think when Pop, you first brought that question up, I said, for what those statistics don't track is what led to them to file for divorce. So while the statistics might say they filed, but there might be things that in most states we say stuff like irreconcilable differences. That doesn't mean he cheated with 4 women and brought 2 babies home. That buildup isn't there. You don't ask that question, so you don't know what led to the woman to initiate. So the perception with that statistic is that women are just walking away from relationships, but nobody's talking about what are the factors that contributed to them to initiate that divorce.
And I think that everybody brought up, a good point, and I think that the word buildup is a good term, because I think sometimes, very generalizing, obviously everybody's different, but generally, yes, women will tolerate more or build up more, and then there comes a point in time and it's like, I'm out, I'm done. And I don't think it's healthy for the build up to take place, but I think that generally speaking, women will tend to allow stuff to accumulate, to build up, and then we get to a point where, like, okay, I'm done, I'm good, I'm out, right? And so I think that, and I'm not saying that, I think Tony brought up a good point. I think that, and Deuce brought up this point too, as far as, like, things happening and how much is a person going to tolerate. And I think generally speaking, a woman knows if she has a side baby in a marriage, that's probably going to be a wrap, right? But a man, generally speaking, may have a child, outside of the marriage, and that woman, maybe it's a 50%, I do not know, chance. Now, I'm not saying she won't leave that person eventually, but I think overall, it's like men will be men, those different types of things, right? And at one point in time, it was accepted where a man literally might have 2 families, like literally might have 2 families, not just like some families, right? And that was almost accepted, right? And so there's no way, I can't even imagine a man, and I'm not talking about relationships now that are more fluid and, these relationships where they allow that. I'm talking about where one person is adamantly opposed. I'm not talking about 2 people that are okay with that. And so I think that a lot of women I talk to, it's almost like, well, yeah, he may cheat, but I don't think a man is thinking, obviously a man is thinking she could cheat, but I don't think a man is thinking there's a high probability my wife is going to cheat. But with women, I can tell you, we're kind of like, if you're going to cheat, make sure you're protected. And that's a sad conversation to have, because we know that men have a little bit more, whatever you want to say, they may be more likely to cheat than a woman, right? And so I think, and then women are supposed to sometimes accept it as, well, that's kind of part of the deal. And so I think that builds into that statistics of women just being done, because it's like, well, yeah, you're gonna put up with a little bit of that, you're gonna put up with that, right? And so that's an unfortunate statistic, but okay. That's my thought on it.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
I believe that women have to remember one thing: there are more women than men. So, who is actually the prize? And dating apps made it so much easier for men, that where we don't have to put up with the nonsense if you're toxic. Because nowadays you got a lot of men that stay in these relationships and endure all this toxicity, but end up dying because of the high blood pressure and all that he endured throughout the relationship as well, right? So men leaving after the first sign of toxicity can be a beautiful thing at the same time, because we are dying quicker than our counterparts.
I understand that perspective.
Good point.
Although statistically, men that are married live longer than men that are single.
That is true.
Women
too.
that are married die quicker than women that are single.
No, I mean like within a relationship, the man usually dies before the woman.
Right, but he lives longer than his single counterparts.
Good points. All good points. Okay, folks. This has been a really, really, really good episode, and I thought it would be. Really good guests, really good input. I appreciate it all. Any last comments, because we're going to bring it to a close. Any last comments from our guests?
I'll go first.
I said our guest.
I'm
You're not
sorry.
no guest.
I'm so sorry, Deuce and Tony.
Thank y'all for having me on this podcast. I enjoyed it.
And we appreciate you, Deuce. We
Yes.
appreciate all the input, too. Really
Yes.
good.
What I would say is we just need to go back to the drawing board, go back to the basics, and just allow men to be men and women to be a woman, and let's appreciate each other.
That's good. That's a good ending to it.
I
That's
like
a good
that.
ending.
I like that ending. Actually,
Okay.
I don't have anything to take or add. Good job, men.
What any thoughts, Tammy?
No, I think it was good. I think we do need to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to work with each other, because I don't think it's simple, it's nuanced. But I really appreciated hearing different points of view today. I think it's a good thing to have this kind of dialogue and conversation.
Right.
So thank you all. Thank you both.
All right. Okay, and thank you, listeners. We're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. Please let us know your thoughts by leaving your comments at DNA Hardwired Podcast at gmail.com. Again, that's DNA Hardwired Podcast at gmail.com. Or we have a Facebook page too. Leave your comments there. DNA Hardwired, a podcast on common sense. This is Pop.
Nikki.
And Tammy.
Signing off. Till the next episode. Thank you.
Think it through, people.